I've been through a lot of ups and downs in my life, but for some strange reason, Satan thought he had me. But I'm still here. Yeah.
Hey, this is Todrick Johnson, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Ambitious. And today I am so honored to have my business partners here with me today. These guys are so awesome, man. I'm able to share a platform with them to help our community and grow our community. And to my left, I have Mr. Kendrick Williams.
Okay. Thank you, man. It's an honor to be on this platform, Ambitious, man. So I'm looking forward to what's to come with this platform, man, so we can share with the people what we do. But Kendrick Williams here, man. Don't come from a fancy background, humble beginning, grew up in New Orleans, did everything my parents told me to do. Went to school, HBCU graduate, Grambling State University. Been in the went in the mental health field for over 10 years, then transitioned into entrepreneurship. So I think today we'll be talking, a lot about entrepreneurship, opportunity, and investing into yourself. So I'm excited for what's to come today.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
My story is not as long as Kendrick, but I'm just a young kid. Grew up with my parents in the mix, sports, basketball, football, oldest of 5. My dad actually passed away my senior year, so I pursued entrepreneurship just by passing down a business. Learned that you can't teach everything, so you have to delegate where you're at. So got into that space, chiropractic for a while, started building my identity by talking to attorneys, lawyers, everybody in the mix, and then I found insurance just based off of what happened in my life. I had to give back in some way. So I went into insurance, and it's been the best thing I've learned since. But I appreciate you for having us on the platform.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming, man.
Todrick, I appreciate the platform. Born and raised here in Dallas, Texas. Graduated from SBCU Prairie View A&M. After graduating, I pursued a career in criminal justice and law enforcement. I did 25 years with Dallas Police Department. And after graduating, I really didn't know what I was going to do. I really didn't have a plan. And Kendrick Williams reached out to me on social media, and we kind of connected and brought me to his office, and we just had a really nice conversation about the life insurance industry. So it was something I was definitely attracted to because it helped us get back to the community. So I'm just looking forward to this conversation, man. And thank you. Thanks again for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, it was a quote that I saw, and the quote said, "A person with a poverty mindset can be given $1 million opportunity and pass it over because they're looking for a job." It really blew my mind. I tell you, one of the things about it is what it says. It says mindset. That's a lot to deal with on its own, mindset. And then opportunity is one of the things we're going to be talking about today. So, Kendrick, tell me, man, what do you think about that quote, man? It's powerful.
I think opportunity, when it presents itself, you have to understand and be aware that it's an opportunity. Harriet Tubman once said that she would have freed a lot of more slaves if they knew they were slaves. Mm-hmm. Makes sense? So when you're talking about, just investing into yourself, the mindset, and just unlearning and relearning things that, was basically passed down to us, I think it's not a bad thing. That's why we're on this platform, and what we can do, we can actually give people the opportunity and actually have them aware that it's an opportunity. Some people don't look at it as an opportunity. They're so used to, the 9 to 5, which is cool. But as our platform is for somebody to go from employee to entrepreneur. You don't just have to stop doing what you're doing, but you can also build a business that's going to create you some wealth and create a legacy. So what we're doing is big and huge in the community. And I watched my parents work for 20, 30 years with nothing really to show for it. Of course, they provided a good life for us, and was always there. But when it's all said and done, what did they create that's going to outlast them? So I want to break that cycle. And shout out to my parents. They did the best they can do. But who's going to break that cycle where we can create a legacy of something that we can say, hey, your daughter to your son, hey, look what daddy and mama built. for you guys. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Man, what's crazy is that my first week or two in the business, Master Paula, I actually just introduced myself, started talking to him. At the time, I was like, because money's a tool. We all know that. Poverty, abundance, it doesn't matter how you think, it's just a tool. So when I was talking to him, I was like, what is $1 million? Like, because he's a cash flow millionaire, like what is $1 million? What's the option that you now have to do? And he really said it's the opportunity to use it or not. And I thought that stood out because we all have the right resources, but it's kind of like we don't use it in the right sense. And I think the poverty mindset is lack. We see what we lack, we see what we can't do, we see what people around us are not doing, so automatically we now sense back, and I'm glad we're talking about opportunity, but that quote is powerful.
Yeah,
really.
it is. Stephen, what do you think about that?
Let your mindset be your greatest asset. You know, that's a powerful quote. And I really think everything starts with the mind on how you think about that. Even from the time when you wake up in the morning, everything is truly about mindset. How you start your day, how you get dressed. You're gonna go to the gym. What you're gonna eat for breakfast. What you're gonna do for the whole day. Everything is mindset. So for me, mindset is powerful. Like Kendrick said, we have similar stories. When I grew up, my parents didn't teach me about entrepreneurship. They didn't teach me about finances because their parents didn't teach them. So it's passed down from generation to generation. So we really have to change our mindset, right, to get a grasp about entrepreneurship, about business, and all those kind of things. So mindset is extremely valuable.
Yeah, that made me think when you said that my parents, they didn't really establish nothing for me to just get into, so I'm trying to change what they didn't do.
Right.
And that's powerful, man.
Right.
So our job as entrepreneurs is to have people realize their full potential. Like a lot of people don't know their full potential. So that's just like you go to the gym, right? You go to the gym, we all can go get a good pump in by ourselves, but would you rather go by yourself or go with a partner or a trainer who's going to push you, right? So we in the business, we're in the space where people are going to push us to our what we don't even see ourselves, right? And that's I think that's what it is. So we're able to go out into the community, have people aware of their surroundings, and have them, basically dream again. Like, hey man, think about when we was growing up, right? You always had these dreams. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna be an astronaut.
Exactly.
Like you literally stand in front of grade school and be like, you have 10 people walk up, I'm gonna be an astronaut.
That's like falling back as we get older.
Yeah, like what happened to that? So we're able to go in the community and say, hey man, you still can be an astronaut. Right. So, yeah.
No, that's good, man. That's good. So while we talking about mindset, I have a question that I wanted to share with all of you, and it's about how do we change our mindset from what we've been taught in our communities? And it all goes back to growing up. So how do we change that mindset from what we've been taught in our community? Jalen, you can.
Yeah, I think I can start off with that. I read a quote a while ago, is that all our parents are our grown kids. They still trying to figure things out, and it's not on them to really understand things, but everything's passed down. So you look at environment, you grow up in the wealthiest neighborhood in the world, all of a sudden you treat things differently. You grow up in the worst neighborhood in the world, you look at things differently. So it's all perspective. So I like what you're talking about, Steve. Mindset is everything. It's the state of mind from the day you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. If you're filling your stuff with the wrong things, you can't really expect your potential to be at an all-time high, even though you have the ability to create that. But
and when you're really thinking about mindset, you have to really think about looking at your circle. So if you're hanging around somebody who can't elevate you, how are you going to change your mindset? You know what I mean? Oliver Wendell Holmes had a great quote. He said, once the human mind has been expanded, it can never go back to its original form. You know what I mean? That's powerful, man. So what books are you reading? Who are you hanging around? Who's pouring into you? So all of that is important when it comes to mindset, man. So you really can't change your mindset until you start to change your environment.
We had our event a couple of weeks ago, and I said that on stage, like I refuse to be a product of my environment. Because some of the people who I grew up with, man, like literally today, serving life sentence, like people who I was sitting them, just like I'm sitting with y'all, we playing video games, we in school, and some of these guys went to college. Just caught up in a bad situations that, it could have been me, man. I was in some of those cars. I was like, hey, man, let's go run to the mall real quick, and then they get into some, it's like crazy. Like, so I'm grateful, like, God, give it all to God. Like, that could have been me because I'm a product of my environment. But now I know why my parents told me, like, watch your friends, watch who you hang around. And I'm like, Mom, like, that's my friends. Like, we grew up together. Like, these my guys. But at the end of the day, once you become an adult and you have a family, now you have to, get around people who are lifting you up and making sure your GPS is going the right way, so you don't become a product of your environment. So, our environment is key, man. We're around people who think positive. I think I did some content about the law of attraction. Right. So you can attract positivity or you can attract negativity. Right. So, and you can accidentally do it by just your thoughts. Like I was saying, you could. What you think, what you hear, what you see, what you feel, what you envision, these are the things that you start to attract. So, man, that's huge. Environment is key. So with Steve talking about association, we all gonna elevate if we're hanging around the right people.
Yeah, that's right. They always say you don't want to be the smartest one in the room.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have so many people that say, I want to be successful. That's my ultimate goal, to be successful. But then when it gets to that point where you get an opportunity, why are we so afraid to become successful? Because I think that we are afraid, some people are afraid to become successful. And when you put it in front of them and say, okay, there's your opportunity to be successful, and then we say, we back up a little bit.
It has steps, right? Because what's successful to me might not be a success to you. My whole definition of success may be totally different than somebody else. Somebody may think of success like having a good family, kids going to school, just raising their family. That's success to them. My definition of success is financial freedom, owning my own time, bringing value, having influence. That's what success means to me. So when you say success, you really, especially when you're talking to an individual, you have to really find out what success means to them.
What you think?
Yeah, like you say, that a lot of people don't want to go through the process. So think about it. When you go work out, I'm gonna go back to that. Do it feel good when you work out? That shit hurt.
Right. Oh yeah.
It feel weak.
I felt it.
It hurt. But after you work out, how good you feel, how good you look.
Absolutely.
Right? You feel good. So the same thing with success. A lot of people, I think people like the idea of success. But when they understand it takes work to become successful, it's like, hold up, do I really want to be successful? So I don't think people are afraid to be successful. I think people are just not willing to go through the process to become successful. Everybody wants to win. But once they see, like, hey, man, this is what you got to do to win, it's like, hold up, man, I don't know if I'm built for this.
You're right about that.
I attended my first conference like 2 years ago, and I'm looking at all these stories, and an average person would probably look at them and be like, man, how do they do it? What do they have to go through? What do they, like, there's certain questions that we all curious about, but you're really looking at an average man just willing to go against the grain. So it's a sacrifice. We all have a sacrifice for a period of time to get the results that we actually need. And I think a good book to recommend is Warren Buffett, The Snowball Effect. It's just continuous progress over and over, and eventually 5 years down the line, you're looking at a different life, all because you were willing to sacrifice something. So I mean, it's not that they fear success. I think it's just like, who am I? Like Jim Rohn talks about his mentor, and if you don't know who Jim Rohn is Tony Robbins' mentor. So the guy who mentored Tony Robbins, his mentor is telling him, why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire? For what it will make of you. It's not that you're now a millionaire, but now you're a different person. You think differently, you act differently, you treat people differently. So it's not the fear, but it's like seeing yourself at a whole different vision. And then in the Bible it says, without vision the people shall perish. So they're scared of that. And then without that, it's a different story. But
Jalen spoke about an event he went to a couple of years ago, his first event, and we're going to talk more about that, the business that we're in. But that event, the company is PHP, and we do a big event twice a year. We do a big one, and then we do a mid-year one. And you get so many testimonies, so many powerful testimonies from people that was kind of like really broke, really down. And all of a sudden they making thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. So, you know, what Jalen was talking about, you hear these stories, man, and it just pumps you up. And you say, wow, these guys became successful. I want to become successful, but you got to go back to what we just said. You got to put the work in. You got to go through the process in order to get it done. So that's huge. That's huge, man. So also, I wanted to talk about why we don't like investing into ourselves. Now, I'm going to give you something. By being in this business, I spoke with a young man, and I'm not going to call any names or anything like that, but I did speak with a young man, and he was working at a restaurant that I met. And I told him about the business. I told him about the opportunity, you know, because when you're working at a restaurant, especially when you're a waiter, you about 16, 17 bucks an hour or something like that. So I told him about the opportunity. And I remember we kept going back and forth. And he told me something. You know what he said to me? He said, if I can't come in and make money my first week, I'm not going to do it. And then I said, wow, man, are you serious? I said, I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm just showing you a better opportunity that can kind of help you, you know, gradually move away from that from that position that you're in. And plus, you know, you have to invest into the business too as well. I don't want to invest into the business. I just want, how can I just come in and be a part of it? So to say all of that, man, you got people that want people to invest in them, but they don't want to invest into themselves. You know what I'm saying?
This has to do with people understanding delayed gratification. Like take the Super Bowl. We just all watched the Super Bowl. Man, those guys, we see them on a big stage, but those guys been practicing since they was 5, 6, 7 years old. So when you talk about investing, you know, people, and you talk about money, hey, I want to invest in stocks, I want to invest in real estate, I want to invest in, you know, this or that, crypto, whatever you want to invest in, whatever sound good at the moment. If you don't invest into yourself first, those other things won't work. Because it takes discipline, it takes consistency, it takes a lot of, you know, being a student to your industry to get to the next level. So the most important thing that you can ever do is invest into yourself.